Back at Rexall Place in Edmonton. Pleased to have with us now the head coach of the Edmonton Oilers, Tom Renney, whose team fell 5-3 to the Calgary Flames tonight. Let's start with this. Are the Oilers that started the season 9-3-2 your team, or is your team the one that's been fragile, certainly in the month of November, and has had a tough time protecting leads as you did tonight?
Well, you know, it's a long season, and I'd like to think it's the former as opposed to the latter. We've got to get back to work on that, and I think you know, one of the things that's sort of gone by the wayside here in this last 5 weeks or so is just flat-out practice time, and we can't play a period or two and use that as practice and then decide, okay, game on. You know, we've got to get there with the drop of the puck, and you know, we've had a little bit of trouble doing that lately.
Outside of the deficiencies on the power play tonight, were there any other areas that frustrated you from this?
I thought our rush coverage in the first period for sure was to be less than what we wanted. I didn't think our defense had enough real help from the forwards to keep a tight gap in the neutral zone, stay up on a team that wanted to come hard through us, which they did. Got pucks in behind and then gave us some real problems in our own end, which was really at the end of the day our big concern.
Tom, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins has to be one of the most special players you've ever coached in the NHL. First of all, is that a fair statement?
It is. I've had some good ones, thank good Lord, but that being said, nothing close to this, certainly at this age.
Well, you guys gave up nothing when it came to discussing or disclosing if he would stay before his 9-game audition was up this year. But I'm going to give you a chance now on this program in front of an audience of hundreds to come clean and tell us
okay.
if the decision had been made before the 9 games was over.
No.
Okay.
and that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. We did want to see him play the last couple of games against big, strong, heavy teams, Washington and Vancouver. Quite honestly, we wanted to see if he could manage that and get through those types of games. And that the cake was certainly well under construction. We're just looking for the icing.
Yeah, although, Tom, you'd have to agree that as he got deeper into the 9-game audition, it almost seemed absurd, the notion that he could go back. Right?
I respect that. And, you know, we were certainly feeling similarly. And almost, you know, when we were asked the question again and again and again, you felt stupid for answering it the same way. But
well, he's staying, and we're still asking it.
Yeah,
so.
exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, the bottom line is I wanted to see the last
later.
couple of games, the big heavy team, see how he makes out.
What about the other major, I don't know if it's a major Ryan, you have so many Ryans on your team right now, but Ryan Smith, what has he done for you coming back here in an Oiler uniform?
Outstanding attitude, great citizen in the first place of the city naturally, but just an Oiler, you know, and knows how to sacrifice those things that make you special every night. And for Ryan, if it's not going in the net, it's certainly making a difference in other ways. He's a leader. He has really helped our leadership group, I think, and really brought credibility to the voice in the room. Not that it was vacant in the first place, just more of it, you know, and help really justify our look inside that room before we get out there.
What a week for NHL coaches, Tom. 3 of them fired, all of them good coaches. What's your immediate reaction when you hear someone from the fraternity has been dismissed?
Well, you know, you just can't take those things personal as much as it comes down to one guy. You know, the quickest, cleanest severance you can make is with the coach if you want to get people's attention. It's not fair, but there's a lot of things in life that aren't. And check the hospital, you know, and you'll figure that out. But you know, it's tough. It's tough on our guys because we work awfully hard. We're deeply committed to doing the right thing night after night, working with what we have to get wins and, you know, satisfy more than anything else our fan base. You know, for the most part, management ownership's always really patient, you know, until that ultimatum. And you know, we all cross it. We all get to it at some point in time. You want to defer it as long as you possibly can.
Do you confide in other coaches around the league?
Yeah, for sure, definitely. You know, it depends on who it is and in what conference. And
that's what I was going to say.
That's what determines the topic
right.
of conversation. But and you know, we don't you know, do our pre-scouts through each other, but we talk about tactics and strategies and, you know, different things that are working and you know, just how the game's going in general. Which is always a fun thing to talk about. You know, where do you see this thing headed? And some of us are lucky enough to have some guys that have been in the league a long time, you know, and really have seen the transformation into what it is now. And there's a lot of wisdom there.
Bruce Boudreau, when he was fired by George McVie a couple of days later, essentially said, hey, it was the right decision. Translation of that is, I lost the players. I'm wondering if in your first 2 stops, Vancouver and the Rangers, both jobs from which you were fired, did you, in moments of sober reflection after being fired, say, yeah, I lost the players there?
Yeah, you know, certainly in Vancouver, quite honestly. Coming out of the national team program where you practice for 2 hours a day
Yeah.
and then go on a nice little road trip for 2 or 3 weeks and come back and practice for 2 hours a day again, and then take that whole hard work mentality to the National Hockey League and being a little bit naive about what the pro player needed, the time away from the game, the time away from you, time with their families, all those types of things that just suggest that they are adults. And it's not the national team. That was certainly, they just said uncle. And, and I think in New York, we always like to think that we could have been the solution and the difference as opposed to the problem. I still feel that way, but in no way, shape, or form do I harbor ill will. Changes have to be made. If nothing changes, something has to. And if you're losing, something has to change. And it's either in the makeup of your team or how you strategize to win hockey games, and in some cases, the coach. And we all know that.
You know what they say, if nothing changes, right?
Exactly.
Listen, I'm going to jam this last question
Sure.
before we go over to put a personal touch on this interview and see if we can turn the corner a bit.
Good.
Fun fact, you met your wife, Glenda Gare, sister of Maury and Danny, when you owned a clothing store in Trail.
Yeah.
What got you in and out of the haberdashery life?
Well, because I knew I wanted to coach, and the only way I could get time off from that to coach was to try to own a little store, have my own business, if you will, and so we opened up a little jean shop in Trail and did extremely poor. And became extremely poor. I think we operated with about a $10 float most mornings, but had a hell of a time in Trail. Great little community, and love the Collanders still. Best spaghetti on the planet. But then I met Glenda there. I played hockey with Renney, her older brother, a couple of times, and wonderful woman, and 2 great kids. And boy, if there's a silver line in anything we do on the planet Earth, it's certainly who you hook up with, and I'm a pretty lucky guy.
And you could always go back to that clothing business, Tom.
No, we can't. Not a chance.
Tom, thanks a lot
My
for being with
pleasure,
us. Really
Scott. You bet.
appreciate
Yeah,
it.
you bet.
Thanks,
All right,
Okay,
Tom
Razor.
Renney,
Yeah, you
head
bet.
coach of the Edmonton Oilers, taking a few moments to join us after a tough loss by his team tonight. Back to conclude After Hours in a moment.